In today's lecture, we are going to understand that what is federation. So if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section. Without any further ado, let's begin. Federation. In a simple way, federation is a system of government in which the powers are shared between the federal government or the central government and its component units. It is a type of state in which the constitution distributes power between the federal government and the unit government. Now let me show you a diagram to make it clear that what federation is. The main government is the central government or the federal government, and the provincial government is called unit governments. Federal government has its own legislature, executive and judiciary. And just like federal government, unit government has its own legislature, executive and judiciary. It is a system in which province gets some constitutional guarantee of autonomy. Now let's move toward the features of federation. Supremacy of constitution. Constitution defines the powers and the function of both the central and provincial or the unit governments. It must have some powers above both so that none of them may violate its provision upon the rights and powers of others. Constitution supremacy applies three things. First one is it must be written constitution, the second one is it must be a rigid constitution, and the third one is sovereignty should lie with the constitution. Distribution of powers. In federal government, the powers of administration are divided between the center and the units. The powers may be distributed in one or the two ways. Either the constitution specifies what powers the federal authority will have and leaves the rest of the power or the residuary powers to the federal units, or it specifies what powers the federal units will have and leave the rest to the federal authority. Supremacy of judiciary. Federal judiciary is entrusted with the duty of protecting and interpreting the Constitution. In this respect, the Supreme or the Federal Court performs two kinds of functions. Firstly, it interprets the Constitution whenever there is a dispute regarding any provision of the Constitution between the federal government and one or the more government units or between the two government or the component units. Secondly, it preserves the supremacy and inviolability of the Constitution. Bicameral legislature. This question is always asked that why bicameral legislature is required in federation. A federal state is a complex organization. It should have double mode of representation. Upper house represents the provinces and lower house represents the population. Because in smaller provinces they should have equal kind of representation and rights of powers. Federation have some merits and demerits. So let's talk about the merits first. Federation brings peaceful political association of multi-ethnic groups. In a multi-ethnic nation, federation is the best system of government to practice because it brings about a peaceful political association between people of different tribes, languages, and beliefs. This is so because there is a national government or the center and other smaller units of the government at the local level to govern the people. Stronger and stable nation. Federation produce a stronger and stable government in power. This is so because the association of different component units will make the government stronger and respected by the international organization. No fear of majority. In federation, there is no fear of majority because every unit of government is partially independent and can decide to run its own affairs by itself. Equitable development and growth of the nation. Here is the reason of why countries like United States of America practice federalism. Because federalism fosters equitable growth and development in every part of the nation. Every unit of government is expected to develop its territory, and together, the growth and development of the nation will be achieved easily. Rapid and effective government. In federal system of government, the functions and the powers of the central government and its component units are clearly shared and stipulated in the constitution. Thus the central government will not be faced with too many works. This makes the government more effective and efficient. Now let's talk about the demerits of federation or federalism. Expensive to operate. Federalism is an expensive system of government because a lot of money is needed to maintain the central government and all of its components. Workers and officials of every level of government must be paid and maintained by the nation. This is a big disadvantage of federalism because many nations cannot afford it. Rigid constitution. A rigid constitution cannot easily amended. This type of constitution is actually the best in the federal system of government, but it cannot easily amended in the time of need or emergency is a disadvantage. So, in order to prevent this situation, there must be so many consultation and unnecessary requirements. Duplicate government. Federation brings about an unnecessary duplication of government by creating a national government and component units of the government. It can lead to instability and power struggle in the nation, even when those powers have been prescribed in the law of the country. Weak federal government. If the federal government may not be able to control its component units of the government, it can lead to the political crisis and even disintegration. It was all about the federation or federalism. Thanks for watching the CSS Fair. See you in the next video. Keep moving forward. Allah Hafiz.